People ask me this, all the time, who's the greatest player I ever saw? And honestly, it's not one name. I mean, I came up at an age, I didn't know it back then, but looking back now, it was just a golden age of tennis. So many great players. I didn't know, that they'd end up being the greatest ever. I just knew I had to go out there and compete with them. So let me tell you about 5 of them. So the first name, and this one goes way back, is Rod Laver. I mean, when I turned pro, I was just a kid, fresh out of Stanford, and suddenly I'm practicing every week with guys like Laver, Newcomb, Rosewall, and it's funny, people used to call me the Rocket because of my serve, but Laver, he was the original Rocket. That's what they called him. So there I am, this young left-hander with a big serve, sharing a nickname with the guy I looked up to most. I mean, you can't make that up. And practicing with him, I didn't necessarily think I could beat him, I wasn't intimidated, but I knew where I stood. He'd hit a ball and it was just effortless, like he wasn't even trying, and it was still better than what most of us could do trying our hardest. I remember early in my career, I played him in a final. I lost, of course, but just being on the other side of the net from him, that meant something to me. It wasn't about the score. It was about being close enough to study how he moved, how he thought out there. What got me about Laver wasn't just the serve or the forehand. I mean, everybody talks about his shots. It was how complete he was. There was no hole in his game. You couldn't find a weakness and just sit on it. And he did it across 2 different eras, amateur and then professional, which honestly nobody else really did. That's not luck. That's not one good stretch. That's just greatness, sustained. I'll tell you something else. He was never flashy about it. No theatrics, no big celebrations. He just played beautiful tennis and let it speak for itself. And I think that's what stuck with me more than anything, watching him. Like, you didn't need to shout to be the best player on the court. You just needed to be him. To this day, if you ask me who I'd want to sit down and watch, really just enjoy, not analyze, just watch, it's still Laver. Favorite player I ever saw play, hands down. And that feeling, that pull toward a certain kind of tennis, I'll tell you, I felt it again decades later watching someone else entirely, but that's a story for later. Okay, so the next one, this is a hard one for me emotionally. I mean, Borg, because this is the name tied to the best and the worst day I ever had on a tennis court. Wimbledon final. I mean, everybody remembers that match, or at least people who watch tennis do, because it was the first time the final was shown live back in the United States, that whole breakfast at Wimbledon thing. And I was right in the middle of it. I had him, I really did. Up 2-1, and I remember thinking, this is happening. This is actually happening. And then it just slipped, set by set. And by the end, I'm standing there, and he's got it, and I'm proud and I'm devastated at the exact same time, which is a strange thing to carry around for the rest of your life. Most painful moment of my career, easily. But also, and this is the part people don't always get, one of the greatest moments too, because we had a real match, a real one. There's another story from around that same summer. We played at the US Open and I had a match point on my serve, and the ball it clipped the tape and the cable snapped and the whole net came down, just collapsed right there on court. Took them, I want to say 20 minutes to fix it, and I lost that exact point after we started again, but I ended up winning the match a little while later. Strangest match of my life, honestly. And it's Borg on the other side of the net again. Feels like he was always there at the strange and the important moments both. But here's what got me about him. It wasn't the forehand, it wasn't the topspin, everybody talks about that stuff. It was the stillness, like nothing touched him. You could be up a set, up a break, screaming inside because you know you're playing well, and he's just calm, ice cold. They called him the Iceman for a reason, and I felt that standing across the net from it. It's one thing to hear about it. It's another thing to feel someone's will just not bend, not even a little. I think that's the piece I took with me, honestly, more than any shot he hit, that you could be down, you could be hurting out there, and you don't let it show, not even on your face. I try to carry a little of that with me still, all these years later. So yeah, Borg, not the guy I beat, not even close most days, but the guy who showed me what real command of yourself looks like under the worst kind of pressure there is. Now, Jimmy Connors, this one goes back further than almost anybody else on this list. I mean, we knew each other as kids really before either of us had any idea what our careers were going to look like, and then it just followed us. Junior tennis, college, and then, right on through the tour for years and years after that. And here's the thing about Connors. I mean, if you ask me who competed the hardest, who fought the hardest, every single time, no matter the score, it's him, easily. It's not close. I've been out there against guys who kind of fold a little when they're down 2 sets or down a break in the 5th. You can see it. Something just leaves their eyes. Never with Jimmy, never. You could have him down and out, completely out of a match, and he would just keep coming, keep swinging, keep believing somehow that the next point was the one that turned it all around. And honestly, he beat me more than I beat him, a lot more, if I'm being straight with you, but that's not really the point. When I think about why he's on this list, because greatness isn't only about who walked away with the trophy. Sometimes it's about who made you feel like you were in a fight every single time, whether you won or lost. And with Jimmy, it was always a fight, every single time. I remember just the sound of him out there, the grunting, the intensity, that competitive fire that never let up, not for one point, not for one game. It didn't matter if it was a Tuesday afternoon in some small tournament or a Grand Slam final, same fire, same fight. You don't see that in everybody. I mean, some guys can turn it on for the big moments, but Jimmy, he had one setting, just all the way, all the time. And I think looking back, that's the lesson I actually took from him more than anything technical. It wasn't about his return of serve though. I mean, that was as good as anybody's. It was that mentality, that refusal to let the scoreboard tell him how to feel. I try to remind myself of that still, in tennis, in life, whatever it is. You don't get to quit just because the numbers look bad. So yeah, Connors, toughest competitor I ever stood across the net from. Not the most talented, maybe, not the smoothest, but the fiercest. And that's its own kind of greatness, I think. Maybe the hardest kind to actually have. All right, so this next one's a little different because it's not really about facing someone. It's about being on the same side as them, which is its own kind of pressure, honestly. And John McEnroe. And funny enough, we actually shared an alma mater. He came through Stanford too, years after me. So there was always this little thread connecting us even before we were teammates. Davis Cup final, that's the one I think about. And I mean, I have to be honest with you here because this isn't really a story where I come out looking like the hero. I lost my singles match that weekend. I did. It happens. You don't win every match. That's the game. But John did not lose. He won his singles, and then he goes out and wins the doubles too, and just carries the whole thing on his back. I mean, he was the best player in the world at that moment, both in singles and doubles, and he went out there and proved it when it actually mattered. And I remember just standing there, watching him compete, thinking, I am really glad this guy is on my side and not across the net. Because the intensity, the focus, it was just on another level that weekend. People talk about his temper, you know, the arguing with officials, all of that. And sure, that was part of him. But what people don't always see is just how badly he wanted it, how much he refused to let his team lose, even when it came down to him basically alone, having to close it out. We won the cup that year, and I mean, I contributed what I could, but if I'm being honest, that trophy has John McEnroe's name written all over it, more than mine. And you know, there's something in that too, something about greatness that isn't just about what you do for yourself. It's about what you do when your teammates are counting on you, when the whole thing rests on your shoulders and you don't flinch. That's what stays with me about John. Not just the talent, which, I mean, everybody knew about that. It's that when it mattered most for all of us, not just for him, he delivered. And I got to stand there and be part of that. That still means something to me all these years later. So this last one, it's going to surprise some people, I think, because it's not somebody I ever played, not somebody I even competed against in any real sense of the word, Roger Federer. And I mean, by the time he's out there winning everything, I'm long retired, I'm coaching, I'm teaching kids the basics of a serve, you know, a completely different life. But I still watch. I've always still watched. And I remember being at Wimbledon years after I stopped playing, just sitting there in the stands with my daughter watching him play. And it hit me, this feeling, it was so familiar, but I couldn't place it at first. And then I realized it was the same feeling I used to get watching Laver, that exact same pull. Like, you're not just watching someone win a tennis match, you're watching someone make the game look like it's supposed to look effortless. Almost unfair, honestly, how easy he made it seem. I mean, there's guys who muscle their way through a match, who grind it out point by point, and there's nothing wrong with that. I respected that in plenty of players. But then there's guys like Federer, where the ball just seems to go where he wants it to go, like it's not even a decision, it's just instinct. That one-handed backhand, the way he moved around the court, it wasn't just effective, it was beautiful to watch. And I don't use that word lightly. You know, not after everything I've seen. And honestly, it made me think about how tennis, it doesn't really belong to one era. I came up in my time, I had my rivals, my matches, all of that. But greatness like his, it transcends when you played. It transcends who you beat or who beat you. I never crossed paths with him on a court, not once. But watching him play, I felt like I understood something true about the game all over again, the same way I did as a young man watching Laver. So, yeah, Federer makes this list too, not because we ever competed, but because some things about great tennis, I think they just don't change. Not really, not ever. So, 5 names: Laver, Borg, Connors, McEnroe, Federer. And if you ask me to rank them, I mean, I won't. I really won't, because that's not really what this is about for me. And each one of them taught me something different about what greatness actually looks like. Laver showed me it could look effortless. Borg showed me it could look completely still, even under the worst pressure imaginable. Connor showed me it's about refusing to quit, no matter the score. McEnroe showed me what it looks like to carry a whole team on your back when it matters most. And Federer showed me that none of it is bound to one era. That the thing I fell in love with as a young man, I could still fall in love with decades later, just watching from the stands. You know, my life, it hasn't exactly gone in a straight line, on the court or off it. I've had my highs, and I mean, I've had some real lows too, ones I'm not particularly proud of. But if there's one thing tennis taught me, watching these 5 men especially, it's that you always get another chance to serve. Doesn't matter how the last point went. Doesn't matter if you double faulted or lost the game or lost more than that, honestly. You step back up to the line and you go again. I think that's why I keep coming back to these 5 names when people ask me. It's not really about who was better than who. It's about what each of them left in me. some lesson I didn't even know I was learning at the time, watching them, competing against them, standing next to them. And I carry all 5 of those lessons still, every single day, honestly. So that's my answer. Not a ranking, just 5 men who showed me in 5 different ways what it means to be great. And I mean, I'm still grateful all these years later that I got a courtside seat to all of it.